Hi. Okay, so I guess my question is, since you've entered the workforce, no matter how soon or how long ago, have you noticed any companies starting to like new incentives to attract women and minorities in the workplace? Have you seen where maybe you've heard things in your company where they're trying more to outreach to freshly graduated students? Just what incentives have you seen? We've talked a lot about the negative, so have we seen any positive changes since you've entered the workforce?
I will say that the firm that I am at, I have we have some new leadership that is starting to take place, younger leadership, and I work very closely with one of them in particular, and he is very passionate about trying to get a more diverse, younger company, and that means women, people of color, recent grads, all that. And so that's really exciting for me to see. Just being only 2 years out of school and like being able to kind of help him like guide the firm in that direction.
Cool. Thank you. Do the other two?
Just generally, this is not going to be specific to women or people of color, but like I mentioned, COVID has kind of changed the office dynamic. There are a lot of incentives that are more generalized, like working from home or having a pet friendly office, or just smaller things like that kind of help incentivize people to work. We're very much in the like the people have the power kind of mindset. So the more we ask for and the more we're willing to like stand at our word that that's what we want and that's what we deserve, like the more benefits that we'll eventually have. And the thing about your recent grad thing, I went on a tour to JHP architecture in Dallas. I'm sure a lot of Tech alums work there, but when I went, they said that recent grads actually get higher PTO rates. So, but I'm not sure about the other minorities.
I would say my answer would be, and I keep focusing on the interviews because it's like really important to me. It's like your greeting of a firm. But I'm seeing that a lot more firms now are having women interview within that process. And it's not just like not just like HR. It's like designers, it's project leads and project managers and things like that. I think that in itself is an incentive because it's not just these old, like Ann said, these old white men like, okay, what can you do? Like, do you know Rhino? That type of thing. Is like having a diverse set of people actually interviewing you and seeing like, what can you do? Like, and you become more comfortable in these interviews rather than, just talking to the same people over and over.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe. No, maybe. All right. Any other questions? Oh, Stephen has a question. Please come ask your question. I will add on to that. I have noticed that when I interviewed with a man, I'll just speak on my behalf. When I interviewed with a guy, a boss, right, a male figure on the one side, I presented myself differently. I feel like I have to be a lot more formal. Maybe that's just me. But if I'm presenting with or interviewing with an older woman, an older lady, like we have the same experience, if that makes sense. So we're starting at like a base point, and so it's so much easier to have a casual conversation and not be like stiff, like in my seat. And they're more also likely to ask you like, what are you like as a person? Like, how are you doing today? And less just like, what are your skills? What can you bring to the company? And like, are you going to work full time? Like those types of questions, So I think I have noticed companies or firms are really like upping their recruitment, if that makes sense, by interviewing with women or having holding interviews with women, and then also putting like women on their recruitment teams, not just social media, but having women outreach. And I think that helps a lot.
I think that also comes with the fact that like the kind of the generation that we're in, like we are seeing a lot more women in architecture programs at schools.
And in leadership positions.
And in leadership positions. And we're having more of these conversations about women, being in these positions and how it's important. And so I think we're kind of, it's important that we are teaching our, young women or students in school that they need to speak up for themselves and that they have a place in the workplace, because we are seeing that change now that those students are available, because there was a time where no women were coming out of architecture programs.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to hand over the camera to Stephen.
Hello. Yeah, I know Ms. Judy Law said something about this earlier, but my question is, what are some specific steps we could take to for us as new people coming into the workforce? What are some steps we could take to recognize and ensure we're being given a fair wage?
Research, like Danae mentioned, AIA has a great calculator that tells you averages for different years, different regions. What's kind of sketchy about them, they do sell stuff that tells you even more information, but they do have a free program. So I would just try to utilize the free program as much as possible. And just like general forums, try to get the most up-to-date things, because you guys are going to be graduating and at a time where inflation might be a little bit different. So like, don't look at 2020, look at this year, you know what I'm saying? Like just a few years can make a difference of a few $1,000s, which is, free rent right there. Just know if you're going to be moving somewhere, keep that into account, like you are moving your life to accommodate your employer. And as a result, your employer should pay you for that. So, you can argue for like, hey, I'm going to have to move. Can you help me do this? They do have like relocation fees. They have startup bonuses, stuff like that. And maybe that's going to be later, like mid-career, but it's good to know that those things exist. When you talk to other people in other fields, compensation can wild like drastically, but it really just depends on where you're going and what kind of firm you want to work for. Like if they believe in being progressive and paying more than, the guy down the street, or it's like, I'm just going to try to like pay the bare minimum here. Even in this city, New Orleans is not really known for paying our architecture employees well. Like even in this city, I have like a friend and another friend, they're like, experience is the same. We went to the same school, right? Graduated the same year, $20,000 difference. What makes the difference? How can you be so bad? It's $20,000 difference. There's no way, it's not performance at that point. It's people taking advantage of somebody for not having the experience to ask or to know better.
And I would say, like you said, do your research, talk to your friends, but also interview at multiple places, because you're going to get different numbers from different people. And that'll be a big show or tell thing.
LinkedIn is really great too. They just have like, some people's jobs is just to get other people's jobs. So all day they'll be asking you, hey, do you need a job? And you're like, I have a job, but let's see what you say. And then you're like, how much do they pay? And it's like, okay, awesome. Like now I have another number in my head, like working at this place pays about this much, hopefully in the future, places will be a little bit more transparent on what they pay, because it's not, I think the only state that really mandates it is New York. And it's like just giving a salary wage of like, hey, is it between 50 and 60? That's still a big range, $10,000 is a big difference. But other places, they're not going to be as transparent. And it's not just cash or like salary either. It's like, what are the other benefits you have working, having a nice working environment, or having a place that celebrates women or like celebrates people of color, it's like that's worth value, you know? It's not like an actual dollar amount, but if it makes your life better, it's a part of that package of like, oh, you treat me well and we get like free coffee and snacks. That's awesome. Like I'm gonna, like, in my head, that's like an extra $1,000 because it makes me happy. Like, you know, there's value in other things as well. And it's not just that. I'm just really concentrating on money because that's what you're gonna need to pay your bills at the end of the day. Okay, I hope I answered that. I feel like I talked a long
Yeah.
time.
Well, thank you.